What's going on, everybody? Back at it again with another video. This time we're going to speak on Malcolm Butler. A lot of you guys may not know, you may have some common sense about football, but I'm going to tell you a secret about Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler isn't a great corner. He's not an amazing corner. A lot of you will say, hey, he shut down these receivers in the season. Like, he's a great corner. You could start a team around him. Maybe, maybe not. He's kind of the same or in the same position as Richard Sherman. Now, we're going to branch off from the Malcolm Butler story to engage on the Richard Sherman story. The Richard Sherman story branches off from the fact that no one's ever seen Richard Sherman out of the cover 3 defense. So it's a wild card. It's kind of the same as Ronnie Brown. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but if you guys remember Ronnie Brown had 1,000 yards 4 or 5 times while he was with the Dolphins. Ronnie Brown went basically unsigned the entire free agency and was picked up at the last minute, I believe, by the Eagles. Because, number one, Ronnie Brown never actually played in an actual running offense. He only gained yards in the Wildcat. And there was a good chance that if he did become the starter, could he run in an actual, typical offense? Could he get those yards in like a split back in a I formation? And there was no guarantee he could do it, so teams were afraid of him. So he basically went unsigned. The same goes for our man Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman has never been seen out of a cover 3 type defense. So the biggest fear is, when we put him in our defense, what's going to happen? When we put him in a defense that's not basically him patrolling 1/3 of the field. If you remember the game where they played the Packers basically told him, if you're going to catch my receivers, if you're going to stop our receivers, you're going to have to make a play on them. You're going to have to break down and become athletic. He couldn't do that. He basically could not come out of his breaks and catch Devontae Adams. He couldn't come out of his breaks and catch Randall Cobb. He couldn't come out of his breaks and catch Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson abused him that game. And Jordy Nelson has abused him a lot of games. Made a fool out of Richard Sherman basically in that game. And a lot of people were like, man, how come, now that Richard Sherman's on the open market, nobody wants him? Because Richard Sherman, there's no guarantee you know what you're going to get with him. If you put him in a defense, let's say the Buccaneer defense, and he's playing a cover 2 scheme, will he actually dominate in that? Now, I want to give you a perfect example of a wild card. Darrelle Revis. When he went to Tampa Bay, he was nothing. He was nothing like the normal Revis. He couldn't do anything in that defense because it didn't fit his strengths. Now, you don't even know what Richard Sherman's strengths are in today's day and age because all he's played is pure cover 3, 1/3 of the field. He's never actually chased down anybody. So a lot of us are like, okay, so what happens when he has to chase down a receiver? What happens when he has to break down? And we've seen that so many times where when he had to break down, he clearly had trouble and problems as seen this year, but he attributes it to an injury. So now we're going to get back to Malcolm Butler and the story of Malcolm Butler. So why Malcolm Butler has to sign a 1-year tender for a first-round pick and has not been picked up by anybody, has not been asked to be traded for anybody, because a first-round pick this year will be pretty big. Now, let me give you the numbers on the corners who are coming out this year on one of the reasons why Malcolm Butler may not be traded or may not be picked up. I'm not saying he won't. I don't know when it may happen. It might happen, but in my general idea, I probably wouldn't start my franchise from the ground up or bank my life on a 5'10" cornerback who might just be dominating because of the scheme that he's in. So I'm going to rattle off some first-round corners or some cornerbacks who are coming out this year. Marshawn Lattimore, 6 foot. He's 6 feet, 193 pounds, 4'3", 40. Jerron Conley, 6 feet, 195 pounds, a 4'4", 40. Tre'Davious White, 5'11", 192 pounds, 4'7". Andre Jackson, 5'10", 186, 4'42" speed. Kevin King, 6'3", 200 pounds, 4'43" speed. Marlon Humphrey, 6 feet, 197 pounds, 4'1". Chidobe Awuzie, I don't know how to say that name, but 6 feet, 202 pounds, 4.43 speed. Those are some pretty decent corners when you think about them, right? Those are actually, in the way that they look, those guys are bump and run corners. Malcolm Butler's just a run corner. He's not really going to be the best guy to bump you. He can keep up with you, but he can't bump you. Now, I'm going to give you the stats on Malcolm Butler. 5'10", 187 pounds, 4'6", 240. That right there is letting you know that down the line, there's a slim chance Malcolm Butler is going to start getting burnt by other receivers. Malcolm Butler is not going to be that fast. In 2 to 3 years after he signs the contract, 2 to 3 years from now, he won't be that fast. He may be that because your speed diminishes. And these guys who are coming out are young. So that 4.47 will probably diminish to a 4.49. You see what I'm saying? A 4.4 will diminish to a 4.47. Malcolm Butler's at a 4.62 already. So 32 and 35, they're probably going to be running 4.5s. Malcolm Butler's running a 4.6 already. And he's 27 years old. No telling how much speed he's lost or how much speed he's gained. I don't know. He looks fast, but he also looks good in a scheme that complements guys who aren't as fast or talented. Now, in a league where size matters, he really lacks it. Now, what you're asking them to do is pay him $10 to $11 million a year to be a subpar corner. If you take Malcolm Butler and put him in someone else's scheme, do you think he'll have the year that he had with New England? That's the general question I want you guys to ask yourself. I don't believe so. But you guys have a good one. Catch you next time. That's the end. And that's USF Jones. He's a top 100. Catch you guys next time.